What's going on, guys? It's Mike from the Pick Six giving you my XFL first round draft gradings. Now, we are almost all the way through the season here at the XFL, and I believe it is time to break down the first round of the skill players draft and see who came out on top, really. And for number one, I've got to go to Abram Smith. You might say I'm giving it to the best player on the best team or the highest looking player at the time on the best team. But stat lines like this, highlight reels like I've been seeing from these games, cannot be ignored. Abram was averaging 9.5 yards a carry at one point during the season. That was almost a first down every play. He's a dynamic back that hits his gap hard and is very hard to bring down. Doesn't come down on first contact, is reliable, a workhorse. You can put him on 10 carries, 20 carries, 30 carries a game. He's going to have some form of production for you depending on the game script, the game plan. He can catch out of the backfield. He really makes this DC offense click, especially at the beginning of the year when Te'amu was getting the swing of things. Hit with this number one overall pick, and they need to be very proud of themselves. Number two pick is Marcell Aitman. Marcell is a hard one due to injury, but the short amount of time has not been great. It hasn't been terrible. He runs his routes well and certainly has this necessary speed to get separation. But he struggled to find targets, and when he did get targets, he definitely struggled to finish them. I can't tell if it's nerves or just a miscommunication between quarterback and wide receiver or just some growing pains of it being the first season of the XFL. That definitely remains to be seen. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt because nobody was near their best on the XFL offenses in the opening week or the opening few weeks. But we need to see more of him when he's and hopefully we do because A.J. McCarron needs some help. Currently, we're going to give him a C-. The third overall pick is Jacques Patrick. Patrick is a guy that bounced around a few NFL teams before finding his home via the XFL. I'd say his production was consistent with a running back that has been used as a change of pace back behind a premier back. He does the job of being a part of a good 2 to 3 headed attack, and if San Antonio had a bit more consistent quarterback play to keep defenses honest, the numbers would be a lot higher. But this is a very promising pick. I'd say we give him a B-. Coming in at number 4, we have Charleston Rambo going to Orlando. Charles clocks in a very recent uptick in production, having an 81-yarder versus the Roughnecks, and definitely keeping up that momentum in the games following. He's a speedster that has no problems catching and making space on a deep ball. The problem is Orlando has no time for him to complete a lot of the routes that he's running. I'd like to see some plays where he has some shorter routes to get him some space, maybe toss it to him out in space off the right strong side a little bit better. This Orlando team is a little bit too hard to gauge as far as individual player talent with how just out of whack the whole team has looked. Recently, it's looked a lot better, and I got a little bit of confidence, but with them eliminated from the playoff, I think in a better situation, he's a much more of a producing member of this team. But I would like to see more from him. The best I can give him here is a B. Coming in at number 5, the 5th overall pick, going to Las Vegas, we have Martavis Bryant. Somebody who I had a lot of hype for coming into this season. I really thought this guy was going to take over an absolute speedster number 2 option for the Steelers in his prime. The trials he's had to go through in his career, especially as of late being this knee injury, making it hard to build any kind of momentum. He's definitely had some 3-catch showings and shown spurts of the speedster he used to be. He definitely hasn't lost too much of that. But he hasn't taken over just like we thought. Now, whether that be because he's the number 1 option on a team and defenses are playing tight too, and that opens up a lot of opportunities for other wide receivers, or it's because of his individual play, say it's more of the former. There is some situations of the latter. We've definitely seen a lot of these number 2 wide receivers come in and have crazy good games. And I have to think that Martavis plays a bit of a part in that. 10 catches and 101 yards halfway through the season and only 1 target in a dominant Week 6 win that we saw from Las Vegas. Martavis might have found a place to hang his cleats for a few years while he, trains the young guys in and maintains his footing and stays consistent. I would give this a B+. And then coming in at number 6, we have Kevin Shaw for the Seattle Sea Dragons. Kevin currently plays for the BC Lions. A great speech and a half, but it looks like he opted for a different league here. I'm not sure what led to it, but he did not play a game for Battlehawks, which doesn't seem right considering the matchups they could have created with the Flash on their side. This is a big F. You did not retain this guy, and I don't know if the blame goes to the team, the league, the pay, or just a personal preference. But as far as draft grade goes, the best I can give this is an F or a DQ. And coming in at the number 7 pick, we have Sal Cannella for Arlington. Sal is a guy that I had on none of my radars, not even the smallest one. And he is coming up big for a team with not a lot of good to show for it. Sal hasn't caught less than 4 targets one time this season for a total of 32 catches on 282 yards. Does not lead the league. It by far leads the team and is a lone bright spot to a team with a serious offensive line and turnover struggle problem. We've had some quarterback turmoils. We've had some offensive line troubles. We have had running backs being a carousel. This team has just looked confused. Their defense is solid, but that is about the only solid thing on them. I'd say defense and Sal Cannella are the 2 best performing players on this team, and if they have any hopes to win in the playoffs, they need him to step out big. Hopefully he remains a focal point for this team for years to come. His consistency is a big reason for them being number 2 in their conference. I absolutely know the Battlehawks are kicking themselves for not getting this guy. A.J. McCarron would absolutely appreciate him, and I think if you put him on that team wins the championship hands down. And last but not least, we have Adrian Killens for the Houston Roughnecks. A bit of a bust here from the Roughnecks. Adrian Killens being taken where they didn't really need a running back. I think the way running backs have been used in this league makes it a position hard to fill with just one back, especially with a lot of these guys specializing in 1 or 2 different things. I was really hoping to see Adrian Killens pop in here and make a dynamic improvement to this offense, but it looks like he, again, got wrapped up in a lot of the different talent that came to the XFL tryouts. It's the first year. He didn't end up being retained. So this right here is a bit of a waste of the spot, not using your top pick wisely. Sometimes you hit on a running back and sometimes you miss. Unfortunately, he either didn't fit with the scheme or just didn't pan out. I think the way running backs have been used in this league makes the position hard to fill with just one back, with how defense are stuffing most teams' attempts at the run game and the pass-heavy favored rules, as well as the lackadaisical pass interference calls and just letting the boys play, makes for a much more pass-happy league. And making it hard to invest in and call this a W for trying to pan it out. I'm going to go ahead and give this an F. You had good intentions. The guy's a talented player, but it didn't end up working out. That will be all for my draft grades of the XFL. What do you think? Do you agree? Who do you think should have also been picked? Who do you think got skipped in the first round that was an absolute travesty that teams passed on? And what do you think of the XFL so far? Honestly, I really think it's a sustainable model, and I'm happy to see spring football in full swing here. Hopefully, the days of having to wait months and months for professional football are gone. Let's keep this going, folks, and we will see you at the championship game.